Some things are passed down without question. Recipes, superstitions, Sunday habits, what to say when you walk into a room, what not to say when you're sitting at the table. They come to us like hand-me-down coats, stitched together by generations, worn by those who came before us. And at first, we put them on without thinking. Because that's what you do, right? You listen, you follow, you honor. And for a while, it feels like safety. There's a certain comfort in knowing that others have walked this path, that the steps you take have already been tested by time. That if you just keep moving forward the way they did, maybe you'll end up okay too. Tradition, in its purest form, is a kind of inheritance, a love letter from the past, a blueprint for belonging. But sometimes, it starts to feel like a cage disguised as home. I felt that tension too. You probably have too. When the way things have always been starts rubbing up against who you're slowly becoming. And at first, you question yourself, not the tradition. You wonder if you're being ungrateful, or too bold, or too lost to see the wisdom in it all. Because questioning tradition, especially in cultures that are deeply rooted in it, feels a bit like betrayal. And here's what I realize. There's a difference between carrying something forward and carrying something that no longer fits you. Sometimes, tradition becomes a mirror, reflecting who you were told to be. Other times, comes a wall, keeping out all the versions of you that don't quite match the mold. When I was younger, I didn't question much. I thought tradition was the map, the only one. And all I had to do was follow it with enough discipline. And maybe, just maybe, I'd get to that promised life. But life isn't a map. It's more like a river, always shifting, always pulling you toward new directions, whether you're ready or not. And in that current, some traditions feels like anchors, beautiful, well-meaning, but heavy. I've had to unlearn a lot. That success isn't always linear. That rest isn't laziness. That speaking up doesn't make you disrespectful. That choosing a different path doesn't mean you failed. It means you're finally listening to your own voice. Because the truth is, tradition isn't supposed to be a script you recite word for word. It's a story. And like all good stories, it should evolve. When I moved away, physically and emotionally, from the life that was once so tightly tied to tradition, I realized how many decisions I have made out of fear of disappointing someone else's expectations. It's subtle, isn't it? How we shrink ourselves just a little bit to fit the shape of approval. How we second guess our wants just because they weren't written into the old template. But something changes when you start writing your own version. At first, it feels lonely. Like you're standing at the edge of a forest with no trail in sight, no footsteps to follow, no elders nodding with pride. Just you and your choices. But then, something beautiful happens. You discover that tradition isn't lost when you choose differently. It lives in your values, not just your rituals. It breathes through your integrity, not just your obedience. It's found in the way you carry the spirit of what came before, even if the form looks nothing like it used to. And maybe that's the point. That we don't exist to repeat the past. We exist to understand it and then make something new with it. To weave the threads of where we came from into something that fits the life we're living now. And I hope, the people who passed those traditions down to us would understand that what they gave us was a foundation, not a fence. That respect doesn't require repetition, and growth doesn't mean rejection. It just means you've arrived at a new chapter. I still carry pieces of the old ways. The food I crave when I'm homesick. The phrases I whisper when I'm unsure. The quiet rituals that tether me to my childhood. But now, I get to decide what stays and what gently falls away. And that's not betrayal. That's becoming. So if you're sitting there, wondering whether you're allowed to shift, to question, to redefine the path you inherited, you are. Tradition may have shaped you, but it doesn't own you. You're allowed to step off the well-worn trail, to carry what feels right, and to leave behind what no longer serves the person you're becoming. Because at the end of the day, we're all just trying to make sense of the stories we've been told and find our own rhythm in the silence that follows. And maybe, just maybe, the bravest tradition of all is learning to trust yourself.